Princess Kemi was the pride of a Luden kingdom. She had flawless dark skin, long, silky hair, and eyes that sparkled like the morning sun. People often praised her intelligence, kindness, and grace, making her the perfect candidate for any royal prince. However, despite her beauty and charm, there was a problem. A serious problem overshadowed all her good qualities. Kemi had an unbearable body odor. It was so strong that people struggled to stand near her. The king and queen and palace attendants tried everything to help Kemi. She bathed multiple times a day, used the finest herbs, and wore the most expensive perfumes, but nothing worked. The smell clung to her skin like a curse. Whenever she entered a room, people subtly covered their noses or stepped away. Even her closest maidservants, who loved her dearly, could barely endure the stench. The once joyful princess began to isolate herself, avoiding social gatherings and staying in her chambers for hours. As Kemi grew older, suitors came from far and wide, eager to marry the beautiful princess. But the moment they got close enough to speak with her, their enthusiasm vanished. Some made excuses and left immediately, while others simply ran away. The rejection was humiliating. Whispers spread across the kingdom, and soon, Kemi became known as the cursed princess no one wanted to marry. Despite the growing embarrassment, King Adegbite refused to give up on his daughter. He summoned the best healers, herbalists, and spiritual leaders from across the land to find a cure, but none could explain why the princess smelled so bad. Some claimed it was a rare skin disease, while others suggested it was the work of an enemy. The queen, deeply heartbroken, wept in secret, wondering if her daughter was being punished by the gods. Kemi, on the other hand, was exhausted. She couldn't understand why this was happening to her. She had always been a kind-hearted person, never harming anyone. Why, then, did she have to suffer such a fate? She wished for nothing more than to be normal, to experience love like other young women. But each day, she watched as friends and family distanced themselves from her. Even palace guards covered their noses when she passed, and it shattered her heart. The villagers were beginning to speculate that the princess had been cursed. Some believed it was a punishment for a sin committed by her ancestors, while others suspected dark magic was involved. Though no one dared to say it aloud, many people believed that until the curse was lifted, Kemi would never find a husband. Hoping to change her fate, King Adegbite came up with a bold plan. During the kingdom's annual Yam festival, he made a shocking announcement. Any man who could withstand Princess Kemi's presence and agree to marry her would receive half of the kingdom's riches. Gasps filled the air as the news spread like wildfire. Some men, eager for wealth, stepped forward immediately, convinced they could handle whatever problem the princess had. The festival was grand, with music, dancing, and feasting. Finally, the moment arrived. Kemi, dressed in her finest attire, walked gracefully into the gathering. The crowd immediately froze in shock as the familiar, overpowering stench filled the air. One by one, the eager suitors covered their noses and ran away, unable to bear the smell. Some coughed violently, others pretended to faint, and a few even jumped into the river to escape. The entire event turned into a scene of laughter and mockery. Humiliated, Kemi could no longer hold back her tears. She turned and ran away, her heart shattered into pieces. The king and queen looked helplessly as their daughter fled. The laughter of the villagers echoed in her ears, a painful reminder that no matter how hard she tried, she was alone. That night, as Kemi sat alone in her chambers, sobbing, a palace guard arrived with an unexpected visitor, an old woman with piercing eyes and a mysterious presence. The woman requested to speak with the princess privately, claiming she knew the cause of her affliction. Though skeptical, Kemi wiped her tears and agreed to meet her. The old woman spoke with a voice filled with wisdom. Your body odor is not natural. It is a curse placed upon you by someone who envies your destiny. Kemi's breath caught in her throat. A curse? But who would do such a thing to her? She had never wronged anyone. Desperate for answers, she begged the woman to tell her more. The old woman instructed Kemi to meet her at midnight near the sacred forest outside the kingdom. There, she would reveal the truth. Though afraid, Kemi knew this might be her only chance to uncover the mystery behind her suffering. With renewed hope, she made up her mind to follow the stranger's instructions. At the stroke of midnight, Kemi sneaked out of the palace and made her way to the sacred forest. The old woman was already waiting for her, standing before a glowing fire. She held a bowl filled with strange herbs and chanted in a language Kemi did not understand. Slowly, the flames grew taller, revealing a shocking vision. In the fire, an image appeared. Queen Moreo, her father's second wife, was talking to a dark priest, offering him a bag of gold. The priest performed a ritual, and the air around them grew thick with dark smoke. As the vision faded, Kemi gasped. Her own stepmother had cursed her. The old woman explained that Queen Moreo was jealous of Kemi's destiny and wanted to prevent her from marrying. If Kemi remained single, her stepmother's son would be the next heir to the throne. The truth sent shivers down Kemi's spine. Her suffering had not been an accident, it was an evil plot. Kemi felt her knees weaken as the realization sank in. The woman she had called stepmother, all her life was behind her pain and humiliation. Queen Moreo had deliberately cursed her so no man would want her, ensuring her own son, Prince Jide, would inherit the throne. Tears filled Kemi's eyes as she thought about all the years she had suffered, unaware that the person responsible for her misery lived under the same roof. The old woman urged Kemi to act quickly. If the curse is not broken soon, it will become permanent, she warned. Kemi knew she had to confront her father, King Adegbite, and expose the wickedness of his wife. At dawn, she marched into the royal court, demanding an audience with the king. Her heart pounded in her chest as she knelt before him, explaining everything she had seen. Gasps of shock and disbelief filled the hall. When Queen Moreo was summoned, she denied everything. She put on a dramatic display, crying and swearing innocence. Why would I curse my own daughter? She wailed. But when the old woman stepped forward and performed a small ritual, Queen Moreo let out a scream and collapsed to the floor, her body trembling. The truth had been exposed. Despite the revelation, breaking the curse wasn't going to be easy. The old woman explained that Kemi needed to embark on a dangerous journey to the River of Purity, where she would undergo a cleansing ritual. Only by washing in the sacred waters would she be free from the affliction. The journey, however, was filled with perils, wild animals, harsh weather, and hidden enemies who didn't want her to succeed. Determined, Kemi set out at sunrise, accompanied by the old woman and a trusted palace guard, Ola. But what they didn't know was that Queen Moreo was not done yet. Furious at being exposed, she secretly hired assassins to ensure Kemi never reached the river. The journey was treacherous. On the second night, as they camped by a small stream, a group of masked men attacked. The battle was fierce. Ola fought bravely, taking down one of the men, while Kemi and the old woman ran for cover. Just when it seemed like they would be captured, a group of hunters from a nearby village arrived and scared the attackers away. Breathing heavily, Kemi realized something. Queen Moreo was willing to kill her rather than let her break free. After days of traveling, Kemi and her companions finally arrived at the River of Purity. The water was crystal clear, and the air carried a strange but soothing energy. As they approached, a bright light flashed across the sky, and a beautiful woman emerged from the water, the river goddess. Her presence was overwhelming, her eyes filled with wisdom and mystery. Kemi of the Wooden Kingdom. The goddess spoke, "You have suffered much, but your heart remains pure. However, before you are cleansed, you must make a choice." The goddess revealed two paths, one of forgiveness and healing, and one of revenge. If Kemi chose revenge, the curse would be transferred to Queen Moreo. But if she chose healing, she would be freed, and her stepmother would face justice in her own way. For a moment, Kemi hesitated. After everything Queen Moreo had done, shouldn't she suffer too? But then she remembered her mother's teachings. A true queen does not let hatred rule her heart. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the river and whispered, "I choose healing." The water shimmered, wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. In that moment, Kemi felt something lift from her body, a heavy, invisible weight she had carried for years. The curse was finally broken. When Kemi returned to a Wooden Kingdom, the change was immediate. For the first time in years, her body carried no scent, only the sweet fragrance of fresh roses. The palace was in an uproar and people gathered in amazement. Whispers turned into cheers as word spread that the princess was finally free. King Adegbite wasted no time in delivering justice. Queen Moreo was stripped of her royal status and banished from the kingdom. Her son, Prince Jide, who had been unaware of his mother's evil deeds, was heartbroken but accepted his fate. Meanwhile, the king made a royal declaration. Kemi would once again be eligible for marriage, and this time no man would run away. Within days, suitors from different kingdoms flocked to the palace, eager to win her heart. Some were princes, others were wealthy traders, but all of them were mesmerized by her beauty and presence. However, Kemi wasn't in a rush. She had learned the value of patience and true love. As Kemi observed the suitors, she realized that many of them were only interested in her because of her new reputation. They didn't care about who she was, only that she was now desirable. Disappointed, she withdrew from the gatherings, choosing instead to spend time alone. That was when she noticed Prince Adedeji. Unlike the others, Adedeji had been present even before the curse was lifted. He was one of the few people who had never mocked her or looked at her with disgust. "I always saw you, Kemi," he admitted one evening. "Not for your affliction, but for the kind heart you have." His words touched her deeply. For the first time, she saw a man who truly valued her, not just her beauty, but her soul. Slowly, their bond grew stronger. Kemi found herself drawn to his kindness and wisdom. She realized that love wasn't about finding someone who desired her outwardly, but someone who cherished her completely. Kemi and Adedeji's wedding was the grandest in Aludin Kingdom's history. The entire kingdom came together to celebrate the union of the once-cursed princess and the prince who had loved her regardless. As she walked down the aisle in a golden gown, the cheers of the people filled her heart with joy. She was no longer a rejected princess, she was a beloved queen. As the years passed, Kemi and Adedeji ruled with wisdom and compassion. She never forgot her struggles and ensured that no one in her kingdom was ever mocked or rejected for things beyond their control. She also opened a special healing center where those suffering from mysterious afflictions could seek help. Her story became a legend, passed down through generations as a lesson of resilience, kindness, and the power of true love. Kemi, the once unwanted princess, became one of the most respected and cherished queens in Aludin's history. Her name would never be forgotten.